I need you to apologize to yourself. Yeah, I fucking said it. Not to the narcissist, not to your family, not to the people who didn't get it. Because until you do, you are still carrying around the poison like it belongs to you. Here's the truth. Every time you replay the abuse, every time you whisper, what if I left sooner, you are gaslighting yourself the way they trained you to, and that ends today. You can't control what happened to you. You didn't choose to be abused. You didn't sign up to be gaslit, devalued, or discarded, and you didn't create the cycle. But you did survive it. And forgiveness, real forgiveness, starts with looking in the mirror and saying, I am sorry for abandoning you when you needed me the most. I'm sorry that I judged you for staying longer than I should have. I'm sorry for silencing your voice. And I'm sorry for not trusting you like you deserved. That is the first step to freedom. Forgiveness is not about excusing what happened. It's about releasing yourself from the chokehold of guilt, shame, and self-blame. It's about acceptance and letting go. Not for them, but for you. Because that's the move that's going to put you back in your power. I'm Megan Webster, an abuse recovery coach, a trauma-informed strategist, and the woman a narcissist hopes to never meet twice. This is the Narcissist Worst Nightmare podcast, where we burn the rulebook, rip apart the lies, and give you the no bullshit truth about healing, leaving, and rebuilding after narcissistic abuse. And today, we are talking about why the most radical thing you can do for yourself is to apologize. How forgiveness, acceptance, and letting go are not fluffy, feel-good ideas, but the most brutal, liberating tools you are ever going to use. So why do you blame yourself? Here's the part that no one's going to tell you. When you've been abused, your brain makes you the villain. You replay every fight. You analyze every word. You say, if I had just done this differently, if I'd been less emotional, if I had just left sooner. Self-blame is part of survival. Your brain decided it was safer to believe you were the problem than to admit the person you loved was actively destroying you. Because if it was you, then maybe you could fix it. That illusion of control kept you alive, but it was never your fault. And blaming yourself isn't strength, it's actually bondage. When I first left my husband, I carried the crushing weight of self-blame on my chest every single day. I wasn't just grieving a marriage that I thought I was going to have, I was also grieving what it had done to my son. And I'll never forget one night hearing him ask, why is Dada not here? He didn't understand the full extent of what happened, the chaos, the cruelty, the destruction that I'd been trying to shield him from. He just knew his dad was no longer there. And in that moment, I turned that knife inward towards myself. This is my fault. If I had just let him stay, if I had just endured this a little bit longer, maybe Bear wouldn't be hurting like this. And I blame myself because it was easier than accepting that his father had chosen harm over love. But the real truth was, my son wasn't sad because he left. He was sad because of what his father was not capable of being. That's the part it took me months to finally accept and understand. I didn't take anybody away. I took us both out of the fire. Practicing forgiveness is not for them. I want to get one thing very clear. Forgiveness does not mean what they did is okay. It does not mean reconciliation. It doesn't mean you ever have to let them near you again. Forgiveness is the ultimate fuck you to the narcissist because it's the act of cutting off their final thread of control, the shame that you carry. Forgiveness says, I don't need closure. I don't need your apology. I don't need your acknowledgement. And I am no longer negotiating with the past. Here's the raw truth. If you're waiting for a narcissist or an abuser to admit what they did, you will wait until you are long and dead. Narcissists do not apologize, not sincerely. They rewrite history, they spin lies, they convince you it never happened or that it was your fault. This is not about them waking up. It's about you waking up and saying, I release myself from this chokehold. The most dangerous lie that women believe once they've left a narcissist is that if they forgive, it means they're letting their abuser off the hook. No. Forgiveness does not remove accountability. It removes their ability to live rent-free in your head. It's reclaiming your space that they've squatted in, and it's taking back your mental real estate. Because holding on to rage does not punish them. It punishes you. They're out there living their life, and you're the one choking on poison. Forgiveness is spitting it out. It's saying, I will not keep swallowing the same venom that fed me. I first learned about acceptance and letting go when I entered a recovery community, and my assumption about acceptance is that it was weakness. It is not weakness. It is awareness to truth. It's saying, this is what happened to me. It was abuse. It was manipulation, it was cruelty, and I don't need to make it prettier than what it was. Letting go is not pretending it didn't hurt. It's choosing not to keep reopening the wound every single day to check to see if it's still bleeding. You think holding on keeps you safe. You think replaying the abuse prepares you for the future, but what does it really do? It keeps you tethered. It keeps you reacting to someone who's not even in the room. The narcissist is counting on that. They don't want to just control you when you're in the relationship. They want control when you're gone. They want to live in your head forever so that even years later, you're going to flinch at their ghost. Acceptance is saying, you no longer get to exist in my body, and you no longer get to run my nervous system. And that letting go, that is an exorcism. That's when you stop dragging them into your present, because here's a holy shit moment for you, okay? Every time you rerun the what ifs and should haves, you are handing them a fresh supply. You are feeding a fire that burned you once and it will burn you again. And here's where the game changes. Acceptance teaches you to trust the truth of what is happening without rewriting it. And then you can trust the truth. And when you can trust the truth, you begin to trust yourself. Because every time you honor your reality, instead of gaslighting yourself, you rebuild the deepest self-trust that abuse tried to destroy. Acceptance and letting go is not about excusing them. It's about choosing you. It's ripping your life back out of their hands. And it's the ultimate boundary. I am done here. So how do you truly apologize to yourself in a way that's tangible and makes sense and isn't fluffy? This, in my opinion, is one of the biggest power moves that you can do, and it's something that you can practice on your own. You don't need a big series of steps. It doesn't take a long time, but it's a practice, which means it needs to be a repetitive behavior. Apologizing to yourself is not weakness, it's not pity, it is not soft. It is the most savage, liberating act of self-respect you will ever commit. When I say apologize to yourself, I do not mean whispering sorry and guilt. I mean standing in front of the mirror, staring in your own eyes, chest back, full eye contact, and declaring it with your fire. I own my power. I own my truth. I will never abandon myself again. Because here's the thing. If you don't apologize to yourself, you are going to keep running into that same abuse on repeat. You will silence your intuition the way that he silenced your voice. You will carry shame in your body like it belongs to you. And that's how the abuse keeps living inside your head long after he's gone. Apologizing to yourself is an interruption of that cycle. It's the line in the sand where you get to say, no more. I will not be my own abuser. I will not keep punishing myself for surviving. I am actually free now. It's radical, it's disruptive, and it is necessary. This is not negotiable. Listen, you did not choose abuse, but you do choose how long you stay chained to it. And apologizing to yourself is choosing to break those chains with your bare hands. It's saying, I stayed as long as I did, but I forgive myself. I'm sorry I ignored my gut, but I will never override her again. I'm sorry I silenced my truth, but from this moment forward, I will roar. This is how you stop being loyal to the trauma and start being loyal to yourself. And here's a holy fuck level realization for you. The version of you that stayed, the one who endured, she was not pathetic. She was not stupid. She was a warrior, and she kept you alive. The apology is not an insult, it's an honor. It is important that you take a moment to look back on the woman that carried you through this hell. Now it's your decision to finish the job. This is where you get to reclaim sovereignty over your story, not by waiting for the narcissist to finally admit the truth, but by finally admitting it to yourself. And when you apologize to yourself with that kind of honesty, you rip out the last weapon out of the narcissist's hands, the illusion that you will never heal from them. You don't apologize because you're fucking powerful. You're done rehearsing shame. You've decided that your loyalty belongs to you now. And that apology that you make to yourself rewires your nervous system. It allows you to make peace with your past without chaining yourself to it. And that is the apology that turns into being the one thing the narcissist cannot stand, which is you becoming untouchable. So what can you do right now? Healing isn't found in waiting for the apology that's never coming. It starts with you right now. So what do? You've stopped waiting for someone to hand you your closure and you start giving it to yourself. That means when your chest tightens, when you feel that familiar shame crawl up your spine, when the brain replays the reel of why did I stay for so long, you're going to pause and you're going to speak to yourself like you fucking matter. Hand on your heart, out loud. I'm sorry I doubted you. I'm sorry I abandoned you. But I've got this now. I will not abandon myself again. You start telling yourself the truth of the story without watering it down. You stop gaslighting yourself into thinking maybe it wasn't that bad or maybe I overreacted. No. You speak the truth exactly how it happened because there's nobody around you to tell you to change the story. And every time you tell it, you're going to stitch self-trust back into your nervous system. You start practicing ruthless self-loyalty. That means saying no when your body says no thanks. That means shutting the door without guilt. That means choosing peace over proving a point. You want to rebuild your power? Stop handing it away in explanations and apologies that nobody else deserves. And regulate your body like it's your full-time job because honestly it is. Your freedom counts on it. You need to move that stuck energy out of your system. I've talked about this before. Breath work, grounding, shaking, walking, screaming into a damn pillow if you have to. You must retrain your nervous system to believe that you are safe. Most of all, you must stop doing this in isolation. Healing alone is survival. Healing in community is your ticket to freedom. That's why inside of Reinvent, Rebuild, and Redeem, we do this together. We practice nervous system resets weekly. We unlearn the lies. We build strategies so that you don't spiral on your own. And we rebuild a life until you're not just surviving, but you're fucking untouchable. And here's the real mic drop. You do not need another person's permission to start. Not me, not anybody else. You don't need your abuser to wake up. You don't need your family to believe you. You don't need the world to validate your pain. You need one thing: to look at yourself, apologize, and fucking mean it. I was speaking to my dad last week explaining a very ugly barrage of texts from my ex-husband. They're the kind that really rip you apart sentence by sentence, designed to make you doubt yourself all over again. And as I told my dad how I felt, even though it was a week prior, my chest was tight, my heart was racing, and I felt physically ill. And at times, my brain replays the same tape. Why did I stay for so long? How did I let him treat me like that for so long? Why didn't I leave sooner? And I said something like that to my dad. He said, "But you got out, Meg. It's over." And in that moment, it hit me. He was right. I did get out. My reaction was not to that current moment. It was really my past, which I shared with you earlier, is bondage. So that's the move that I make when the spirals come now. When the rage texts light up my phone, because it's pretty often. When my nervous system tries to drag me back into the loop of shame, I stop. Hand on my heart, I remind myself, I am out. I am free. I am safe. I never have to experience that again. And that's how I pull myself back into the present. That's how I reclaim those powerful words without trying to steal any understanding. I'm not waiting for the text to stop. I'm not waiting for the apology that will absolutely never come. But I'm giving myself closure in real time by forgiving myself for what I didn't know then and fiercely protecting who I am now. That is actually what healing looks like in practice. It's not this cute shit that you see on an influencer's Instagram stories. This is how I stitch myself back together into my body one piece at a time. And the more the time passes, the less of a reaction I have to it because I've been doing the work. It's ultimately just him being him, and my choice and my decision is to not go into a war over myself with. If this episode cracked something open for you, good. That means you're waking up. Share this with another woman who needs it. Hit follow so you never miss the next one. DM me on Instagram and tell me what landed for you. And when you are ready to go deeper, please join me inside of Reinvent, Rebuild, and Redeem, the community of badass women who are becoming the narcissist's worst nightmare, and your first week is on me. This is the Narcissist's Worst Nightmare podcast. And remember, your comeback starts the second you decide you're done apologizing for things that were never your fault.